My Doberman puppy Arlo here is 15 weeks old, and man, is he growing fast. I mean, look at the side-by-side comparison of from when I first brought him home at 8 weeks old to right now. So in this video, we're gonna run over exactly how Arlo's progressing and where I think he's a little bit ahead of the curve of where he should be and where he's falling behind a little bit. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna show you two very unexpected behaviors this guy started doing completely on his own, which just absolutely blew me away. What? So it's my hope, guys, that learning the detailed progression of how Arlo's doing will help you get a little bit more confident with your Doberman pup. Because, you know, not knowing how the progression usually goes with these dogs is a big source of fear for new Doberman owners. And I'm hoping to take that fear away by kind of just giving you an idea of what to expect just by following Arlo here to hopefully convince you that a Doberman puppy is not as scary as you've read online, and they're definitely great dogs and you can absolutely raise one successfully. For those of you watching my channel for a bit, you may have noticed that I do have this pool fence around my pool now, which I didn't have before in some of my previous videos. A lot of you commented that I have a young puppy and I should have a way to cordon off the pool. And I totally agree with you. I'm glad you guys kind of pushed me on that a little bit. Problem solved now. It's been cordoned off, so it's a lot safer for Arlo out here now in the backyard. So first I want to talk about the socialization with Arlo and how that's going. Honestly, that's a little bit behind where I'd like him to be at this point. He's lagging a little bit there. There's a few reasons for this. Probably the biggest is if you haven't paid attention to current events, we're in the middle of a pandemic right now, so socialization is pretty difficult. Me and my wife are not leaving the house as much, and also we're not taking him to different family gatherings and exposing him to new dogs and that kind of thing like I would normally want to. Although he's not fully protected yet with his vaccines, next week he'll have his 16-week vaccines, which will include the protection for parvo and that kind of thing. So at this point, he really wouldn't be meeting strange dogs that we don't know, for example, right now, but he would at least be meeting some of the extended family's dogs, some of my extended family in general, the kids, the adults, the different people. But he's not getting that right now because of what's been going on. So that's a little concerning to me. It's gonna be a little more concerning after next week, just because that's when I would like to start introducing him to some more dogs, some strange dogs out in like dog parks and that kind of thing that he's not used to. And it does not look like that's gonna happen really right away. So I'm mildly concerned about socialization, how that's going. I'm also mildly concerned about how that's gonna affect his separation anxiety. You know, Dobermans are a little bit more prone to separation anxiety anyway, and he's getting really attached to mom and dad because we're not leaving the house and even giving him, you know, an hour alone really hardly ever because of what's been going on. So that's how he's going with socialization. Could be a little bit better. All right, the next update I want to give you is about how sleeping at night's going in his crate. Honestly, he's right about where I expect him to be. He's doing great. There's no coaxing that takes place to get him into his crate at night at all. He just walks right in when it's bedtime, and he'll stay asleep pretty much the whole night until, the whole night. He won't make a peep. He'll just go right to sleep until probably 5:30 or 6 in the morning. Pretty early, he'll start crying to go out, and it's time for him to go to the bathroom. And I'll take him out that early, and then I'll bring him back in after he does his business, try to put him in the crate and squeak out a few minutes of extra sleep, but usually at that point he's up and he's not letting me go to sleep. So, right where I expect him to be, he's doing great. Honestly, after that first week home in the crate, he wasn't really waking up at all. So it took him about 1 week to stop waking up in the middle of the night, which puts him right about 9 weeks old, maybe 9.5 weeks old, right around there, for him to sleep through the whole night, which is great, right about where I expect him to be. So the next update is how he's doing with his potty training. And honestly, he's a little bit behind where I'd like to see him at this point. He does give cues when he needs to go out, but they're a little intermittent about when he's not so consistent with giving those cues. He doesn't always bat the bells on the door. He doesn't always whine at the door. I would say a lot of the time he does, but not 100% of the time. All right, okay. All right. Good boy. And I like to see it a little more consistent at this point at his age. But When we take him out and he follows us out, no problem. He'll follow us all the way to the pee spot where we've trained him to go to the bathroom. I'll say, go potty. He'll go potty, no problem. He knows what potty means. He knows what that means, which is great. And then he'll run in right after. When he puts himself out through this dog door here, he will kind of just wander around the yard usually and go wherever he wants. Sometimes he'll go straight to his potty spot, but that's kind of rare at this point. So he still has his occasional accident in the house, but he's still improving, which is the important thing. If he stops improving, that's when I'd get concerned and really have to focus in on see what's happening. But he's still improving, so I'm not too worried yet, but he's a little bit behind where I'd like him to be. Now next, how he's doing with his commands. And honestly, he's ahead of schedule where I think he should be at this point. He's doing really, really well. He knows to sit is one of, well actually with sit, not only can he sit when you ask him to, but when he's in a laying down position and you ask him to sit, he's starting to get the hang of that he needs to go back up into a sitting position. And that is a lot more difficult for a dog to understand. He's getting the hang of that. Stay, he knows very well. We do it at the threshold of the door when we come in from the backyard a lot. I tell him to stay, he knows that. Come, go potty, he knows go potty, shake. He's starting to get the hang of out when I tell him to go out through the doggy door. He's a little shaky on that, but he's starting to get the hang of that. No, of course, off when he's on something he shouldn't be, and we tell him off, he knows to get off of it. He's getting the hang of a lot of these commands very, very quickly. We're training him with these commands and practicing at least 3 times a day, always around mealtime, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because we feed him 3 times throughout the day. And I'll usually put the bowl behind me and stand between him and the bowl, and I'll ask him to do a series of commands, usually 2 commands, maybe 3 at most. And once he does those appropriately, then I will give him the release command, which is okay, and he'll go straight to eating. So at even the busiest days, 3 times a day we practice commands. When he's really pent up and he's got so much energy and he's just a handful for me to handle, then we'll practice the commands more throughout the day, and that tends to help calm him down. Sit, stay, shake, down, down, stay. Okay. Good boy. Good boy. Yes. Guys, if you aren't taking advantage of meal times to help reinforce some commands or even some tricks for your dog, then you are really missing an opportunity. These dogs will usually do just about anything to get their food, and if they know they got to do either one really difficult command or maybe 2 or even 3 commands that they have down really well just to practice and reinforce them, then they will try their hardest around mealtime. So you got to take advantage of that as well. So Arlo with kids, well right now just because of circumstances, the most exposure he's getting really is just to my 2-year-old son, but it's going great. These guys are running around and playing together. They play little games where my son goes around corners and then where he knows the dog's on the other side, and they'll surprise each other from around the corner, and there'll be laughs and running and playing. And Arlo now is being a lot more gentle. He'll still mouth on occasion with his mouth, but his bite inhibition is getting really good. He knows not to squeeze down. He knows to be very gentle. We're still trying to stay all over that, stay on top of it and keep it down to a complete minimum. And he's doing really great with that. You know, just a couple weeks ago, I felt like I had to be right on top of my son with Arlo here when they're playing together, and just, I mean, hovering over them, making sure everything goes smooth. But now all that work's paying off, and these guys are playing together a lot more gently. And it goes for my son too. My son's also learning to be gentle with him. So now I feel comfortable just kind of watching them from a distance and not having to really hover over them. Kind of like a moderate supervision now, whereas before is definitely a heavy supervision. So that's going great. They'll play games together, they'll run, they'll chase. My son will throw a toy for him to play fetch. A lot of times when Arlo's resting in the evening in the family room on his little bed, my son will crawl next to him and lay down on the bed right next to him and just enjoy each other's company. So things are going just really well as far as the kid aspect goes. I would have liked to have him more exposed to different kids at the moment, but just because of circumstances I mentioned earlier, it's not really possible. But he's doing great with the kids in the family. All right, now for those unexpected behaviors I told you guys about that he started doing completely on his own that just blew me away. Now the first one is, this dog can open doors. Yes, he can open doors in the house. What? What's going on?
What's going on?
It's unbelievable to see. If he gets frustrated because someone's on the other side of the door or something he wants on the other side, he'll jump up, he'll grab the door handle with his paws, and he'll pull down on it and push the door open and go bounding through. It's just crazy. I've seen it from older Dobermans before, but I can't remember the last time I saw a Doberman this young doing that behavior. 15 weeks old, it just blows me away. I mean, he can just come bursting in a door anytime he wants. And so now we have to start locking doors around the house if we don't want him to go somewhere because, yeah, he has done it once and he figured it out. These are incredibly, incredibly intelligent dogs, guys, and they will learn from what they've done in the past and use it in the future to get what they want. Now, the second unexpected behavior he changed that he had, which kind of blew me away, was what I'm gonna call his 14-week calm down. Up until about 14 weeks, he's been a normal Doberman puppy, bouncing off the walls every now and then, getting way too mouthy with his biting. And then just one day, the next morning, pretty much, I saw a drastic change in him. He was a lot calmer that morning. And then walking around with the family, not mouthing and biting things near as much. And just a different personality, it seemed like that day. And it kind of has stuck since for the whole past week. And I've been trying to narrow down what it was. And the best that I can come up with is the day before this change happened was a particularly hard day for him. He had a lot of energy. And if you guys saw my video on how to stop a Doberman puppy from biting, we had to go to level 3 correction quite a few times that evening, quite a few more than normal, just because of his energy level. And so the next morning when he was calm, I just assumed it was because he had so much energy the day before and he was just now tired from that. But the next day that stuck with it, and then the next day and the next day. And this is kind of seems to be just a behavior change, which I'm actually really excited about. I don't know exactly why that happened so suddenly. This behavior change is normal in Dobermans, but it's usually more gradual than that. It's usually not sudden where you can pinpoint a day. So that was surprising to me too. I learned something there that can happen as well. But he's been doing great since. He's still in the teething stage, so we still got to give him plenty of toys, of course. We should always give him plenty of toys, but and really keep on top of the mouthing issue. But he is a lot easier to handle dog now at just 15 weeks old. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this update on my 15-week-old European Doberman puppy, Arlo here. I'm gonna keep you guys updated as we go along, not just on his wins, but also his struggles as well. So hopefully it'll help you out with your pup as you go. And if you guys would just hit that subscribe button down below, we'll keep learning about not just Arlo, but the Doberman breed as a whole together. And leave a comment before you go anywhere down below. Hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next week. Arlo's going crazy.